Hello guys, Stroke of the Fool here, and this is my review of Zalen, What Kills Must Die. This is pretty exciting for the Rippaverse because this is taking the scope of the Rippaverse away from Fluorspark and expanding it out to the cosmic scale. This is the first big science fiction cosmic story. Of course, we got Dirty Deeds, but that was a 16-page story, and that was much less cosmic and more science fiction. This is a science fiction story that is truly on a cosmic scale, faster than light travel, exploring different planets, and of course, basically no human characters in this story. So this is, of course, brought to us by the legendary writer Chuck Dixon, with Joe Bennett being the penciler, and Fabio Jansen and Marcos Markins providing the ink and colors. And of course, Invisible Art Studio is the letterer for this book, as they have been for basically all the Rippaverse books since, I think, around sometime after Yaira. Can't exactly remember. But this is what I'm going to say just out and about. This is the best artwork that I've seen from Joe Bennett in relation to the Rippaverse. And I think what makes this so fantastic is Marcos's coloring. It just really pops, and it really brings you into this fantastical cosmic style. Of course, all the character designs are absolutely epic. From, we got the enemies here. These are the Carigians, or Carigians, if I'm saying that correctly. And then, of course, we've got Zalen himself. And there's plenty of two-page spreads in action. So this script that Chuck gave to Joe really played to his strengths. Of course, there's a lot of really cool cosmic sci-fi stuff that goes on, and it really is more science fantasy rather than hard science fiction. So you don't have these explanations for everything. You just have this ship that has all these abilities. You have Zalen with all of his powers, and you have all this interstellar exploration going on, and it's really more or less just rule of cool, there to be there, rather than giving a hard and fast explanation for everything. It's really introducing these pretty cool aspects and implicating that the universe is more than just Zalen and his ragtag crew exploring it. But this is an absolutely epic two-page spread. It really shows off how cool Zalen's character design is. And of course, it just really shows off the coloring. I'm not sure if I can get it on video, convey on video just how good Marco's coloring is. And this is what really makes it, I would say, the best artwork I've seen from a Joe Bennett book from the Rippaverse so far. And that's really saying something, considering how good Alpha Core and Horseman were in the art department. But there's just plenty of two-page spreads, and it's really showcasing off stuff that is extremely cool. You've got these really good character designs. Like I said, you've got Tilla and Bong, who are the main side characters. You've got the ship that Zalen commandeered. So with Chuck Dixon, the commentary that I've gotten from him is that he likes to start his characters more in media res, where you don't ever know the true origins, doesn't start with the true origins of the character. And that's really with Zalen. This is our introduction to him. We get some hints at his origin. Of course, the mystery is still there. There's a big element of mysticism throughout this story. So you've got the science fiction, you've got the mysticism that's involved, and of course you've got some pretty classic superhero action that's really indicative of Omni-Man's, the issues where Omni-Man is just flying through space with, forget exactly what those bug people were called, the Frax, if I can remember correctly. But anyway, that's not the most important thing. What really is important is that you got this character like Solus, which really just adds to the mysticism. This is moral. This is not, like I said, a really hard, technical science fiction, like something like Star Trek, where all the cosmic or all the stuff that allows them to explore stuff on a cosmic scale is explained by this advanced technology. You've got this technology, or you've got this mystical green creature named Solus that has a will, has desires, as we see at the end of this book as well. And it's just more two-page spreads. So this Joe Bennett really leans into the two-page spreads and these grandiose scenes where he draws stuff. It's less on those panel layouts like this, even though you got pages like these where it's more panel layouts. But even stuff like this, there's just so much detail. There's just it's such a rich visual feast, and it's not only in the line work, it's the coloring that I would say really elevates the story. Then of course you got Invisible Art Studio that has the lettering. You got the unique lettering for these guys that really gives them a unique tone. Of course, you've got Solus with his lettering, and then you've got Zalen's lettering as well. I think I can show a bit of his monologue here if I can find it. But you see, you've got that lettering, right? Lettering like that, where you got the like Zalen logo, and then you've got that unique color style, which has been a pretty consistent thing for the Rippaverse. So it really makes this feel like a Rippaverse book, even if I would say the biggest criticism I have for this is that while the world building is interesting, it feels very isolated from the broader Rippaverse, which is of course going to be expected, considering that the Rippaverse has been very Flores Park centric, focused on this one city on Earth, and Zalen's story is one that takes place on a cosmic scale, eons from Earth, although it's implied that they are going to be making contact with Earth. So there is a lot of stuff that's really introduced here. So Zalen's character is very interesting. All the characters that surround him are very interesting. And of course, his motivations, why he does what he does, why he even has this desire. And of course, the people that he's working for and enforcing the law. The basic idea of Zalen is that he is this like cosmic policeman that's like self-enforced. He has this very deep moral code on what kills must die. So if you are a threat to life, he's a threat to you. And his driving principle is preserving life, which, by the way, is probably the only thing that's truly scarce in the universe is life. So it makes it a bit philosophical as well as just being such a trip. Cosmically, you've got these psychedelic elements as well. But it's just such a beautiful book to flip through. So even if you don't have any care for the plot or the story, just flipping through this art is fantastic. Like I said, Marcos really outdoes himself on coloring this book, and with having Joe Bennett's artwork to color and the script that Chuck gave to Joe, they just all knocked it out of the park. And it just is probably from an artistic standpoint, just looking at this art, is probably the best Rippaverse art I have seen. I'll probably call it there. This is definitely the best work I've seen out of the Rippaverse, and I'd say a lot of it is the way Marcos chose to color these scenes. It's just so vibrant and rich, and of course you've got stuff like that and just so many two-page spreads that really just show off the attention, the detail that Joe is able to bring, and even the little things, and just how much he can bring, just how much detail and how good he can make it look. And then it gets elevated with Fabio's inks, and then of course Marcos just really makes it a truly cosmic experience. It just really grips you with how vibrant the color work is. So this is probably, like I said, from a visual standpoint, one of the best books. Of course, Chuck has a really good story that's structured, even if, like I said, some of the world building can feel a bit vague because it doesn't tie in with the broader Rippaverse, and some of the scenes feel awkward, but it's still really compelling. It's a great introduction to Zalen. It's a great introduction to this crew that surrounds him, and it really makes Zalen feel like a character that is really, I'd say mythical, but definitely very strong, very accomplished, very competent, yet he has this arc and shortcomings that he's going to have to overcome if there is more Zalen. And there certainly should be more Zalen books. So it definitely should be at least a mini-series that gives us a really good understanding of Zalen and really ties up the stuff that gets established in this book, because you could definitely have an arc with the introduction to this one-shot. It's not a hard, satisfying end, like I would say Welcome to Flores Park was. Welcome to Flores Park really was this self-contained story where it was open for more Horsemen, but it was this, the plot points that were introduced, or I'd say the main plot that was established for Horsemen was resolved in his one-shot. With this is really just a story that seems like it's going to flow into another one. So if we don't get more Zalen, be a bit disappointing on that basis. But for what you get for this, you do get a satisfying introduction to the character of Zalen. But with that, it implies there's going to be more stuff that Zalen and his crew do. But that really is all I have to say. This is a very strong start to the first full-length science fiction book from the Rippaverse. Of course, Chuck and Joe are the veteran dynamic duo of the Rippaverse, and hopefully they stay on to do a lot more for Zalen. Horseman and Alpha Core, since those are ongoing series. But hopefully Zalen gets at least a mini series, and we can get more. We can explore this character more deeply. We can explore the cosmos as it is in the Rippaverse more deeply, because Chuck definitely puts a lot out there, that there is a lot going on that is far more than just Zalen. Even if Zalen is this contractor, lone wolf type of character, it's just him and his crew, he still is answering to people. He still has this need to work with other people, these other galactic federations, and of course with Dirty Deeds, there's a lot that can get introduced and explained and explored, and that would be fantastic to do so in a mini-series, because the character designs are great, the interactions are great, and Zalen is just this really compelling character, and there's just enough that Chuck gives you to really draw you into the character of Zalen, with leaving so much open for him to expand on if there is a mini-series or an ongoing series. But fantastic start to fantastic introduction to the character of Zalen, and a really good example of science fiction done right. I would definitely say this is more science fantasy than hard science fiction, but regardless, it still works as a really mystical, psychedelic, cosmic experience, and it works as a comic book, certainly because they master the visual elements of this so well, with the art team just all being top tier, especially Joe Bennett and especially Marcos Martin. Cannot shout out the color work that Marcos did on this book enough. But that's really all I have to say about Zalen, What Kills Must Die. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Joker is out.
Thank you for stopping by the Velvet Room. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can keep up with Velvet Room Publishing. And go to velvetroompublishing.com if you want to go even deeper into the Velvet Room.